Well, hey there. Welcome to Tracing the Sky. My name is Joseph, and I'm going to be your host. So in this video series, we're going to be looking at the history of astronomy 10 minutes at a time. And to really help set the stage for what we're going to be covering, I want to start with two questions. So the first, what does the solar system look like? And the second, how do we know? Now take a second here and just pause the video and think about this question. What does the solar system look like? What would you draw? If you've got a pen and paper, go ahead and draw it. What perspective are you looking at it from? What details would you add that you've seen before? Put everything you know into this image. And when you're ready, come back and join me. Okay, let's take a look at my screen here. Okay, so you probably drew something that looks a little like this, right? I know I've seen an image like this many times in my childhood. It's a top-down view of the solar system, and your image, like mine, probably includes the sun at the center, different size spheres, maybe even different colors representing each of the planets, and then these rings representing the orbits of the planets, the path that the planets take around the sun. So this is a pretty typical drawing of the solar system. And what's really remarkable to think about is, how do we know this is what it looks like? How did astronomers come up with this image that we see on screen? Would you be surprised to learn that we've had this rough model for over 400 years? And that not only have astronomers been able to tell us what it looks like, but also how fast the planets are moving, the size of the orbits in really accurate amounts of detail? It's really remarkable because they were able to do this without ever leaving Earth. And it's really interesting to think about how you would go from making observations of what you can see from Earth and then coming up with a model like this where you're standing outside of it. Now, to help hammer home how impressive and just mind-blowing this is, I want to do a little thought experiment with you. So I've got an image here of a person looking out onto a football field. You can see there's tons of fans in the stadium. We've got the players on the field, this guy over here is running. Now, you can imagine yourself in this position, right? Sitting, looking out onto the field. And what if I asked you to draw me a top-down view, just like that solar system drawing we were just looking at? What if I asked you to draw me a top-down view of this football stadium, of this scene, and you're not allowed to leave the seat you're in? I want you to draw the players, I want them to be to scale, so the size of the players has to be relative to everything else you draw. And I want you to be able to tell me how fast those players are running on the field. It's pretty mind-blowing to even try and contemplate that, right? And even try and figure out where to start. Well, that's essentially what astronomers did. Without ever leaving Earth, and as the Earth is hurtling through space, astronomers were able to come up with our modern view of the solar system. It is absolutely remarkable. And so that's what we're going to be doing in this video series. We'll be tracing the path these astronomers took. We'll start in the ancient world and look at the early observations they made of the motion of the sun, the stars, the moon, the planets. Then we'll look at how they started to measure these movements and how they started to use math and geometry to model and visualize what the solar system might look like. And we'll kind of end with looking at how they had to change the way they thought, how they had to challenge some basic assumptions in order to come up with the correct model. Now, along the way, we'll do some really incredible stuff and look at some really amazing geniuses. One thing in particular I love is we'll measure the distance from the Earth to the moon and the Earth to the sun, just using some really basic high school trigonometry. Now, if you're feeling intimidated, please don't be. You do not need a math or science background to follow along with this series. I don't have a math or science background. In fact, the whole reason I started down this path was because I wanted to learn the material and see if I could make it easy for other people to learn it too. And so the math we're going to be covering is not too hard, and I'll be breaking it down step by step. I've also built a lot of really great visualization tools to help us really understand what these astronomers were thinking. Now, if you're a teacher, you're in the right place. A big reason I'm making these videos is for you. I want to help make it easy for you to teach this to your students. So these videos are going to be a great place to start, where you can bring yourself up to speed on the material. But I've got a bunch of other resources for you. I've got lesson plans and tools to help make it easy for you to teach this to your students. Everything you see me use in these videos is going to be accessible to you. So please reach out. I've put an email address you can reach out to in the description below, and I would love to hear from you. Okay, well, I hope you're excited for this series. I really think by the end of it, you're going to have a whole new appreciation for the solar system. And I think it's really going to change the way you feel every time you look up and see the stars and the sun and the moon. It's going to give you a whole new perspective and level of understanding and appreciation. So in the next video, we're going to start with the sun and how it moves. I hope you'll join me, and I'm excited to see you there. See you next time.